Welcome to the Money Mindful podcast, where money mindset and life coach Meaghan Jean Smith, hey, that's me, teaches you how to transform your relationship to money and achieve your life goals so you can live a glorious, magnificent, delicious, awesome life and love being you. Hello, dear listener, and welcome to another episode of the Money Mindful podcast. I am your host, Meaghan Jean Smith. I've planned this episode to be like a gentle sea breeze across your ears. So it's Tuesday and it's about 10:30, and at this time I would normally have already released a podcast, and yet I'm only just recording this now, and it's going to be coming to your ears maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. I'll see how long it takes me to get it organized because I've got a few other things on today. But I wanted to share with you why this episode isn't on time and the importance of that and why it is so significant. I have been going through a beautiful life lesson lately of deepening my connection to myself and letting go even more of self-judgment and really accepting who I am. And so I want this episode to be a beautiful example to you. I would like to lead by example of what it looks like when you step into even further acceptance of yourself and taking that self-love even further. And if this is the first time listening to this podcast, you might be thinking, hang on, what the heck? Isn't this podcast about money mindset? And yes, it is. And part of living a delicious, juicy life, creating your money and life goals, is about being who you are. I mean, the real magic in creating your money and life goals is living the life that you want to live. And part of my money and life goals and my juicy life is about really accepting myself, being who I am, not judging myself for not being able to get a podcast out on time. And I'm going to explain that to you in this episode. And I think that leaning into just loving yourself up so hard, like way deeper than you even think is possible, is the key to just living a brilliant life, because you're not in a fight with yourself when you're in a state of accepting yourself and being in gratitude and appreciation of who you are and exactly where you are. So this episode comes off a hellish week. Oh man, I feel like I have been up the hill and down again and swimming through the shit creek backwards without a paddle. And I was really, not in a good place last week. And I finally reached out to some girlfriends and let them know. There's a fabulous five, and I know that some of these fabulous five listen to this podcast. I'm not going to call you out, but you know who you are. I appreciate you. I love you. I reached out to a group of 5 women who I'm friends with, and I just told them, you know what? I'm actually not okay, and I just can't bear to hold that knowledge myself, like just carry that knowledge in my own being. And I felt so vulnerable sharing with this group of women, especially because I feel like such a capable person and I feel like a leader and I see myself like that. I'm here every week with you, giving you my ideas, my opinions, my wisdom on how to live your best life, and I'm leading the way in quotation marks, so to speak. And so to show a side of me that isn't coping or is not doing okay felt really vulnerable. And so reaching out to these friends, I was like, oh my gosh, they're, like the thoughts that were running through my head was, oh, they're going to think that I've lost the plot or whatever, right? But the beautiful thing is when I reached out to them and just said, hey, listen, I'm actually having a really hard time. I'm finding some things really challenging. They immediately all rallied around me. And if they didn't give me some sort of gentle support in the message that I sent, some of them called me and gave me advice about other friends that they had who were going through similar circumstances that I was. And it was incredible to feel this immediate weight like just drop off my shoulders and feel not held, but like I'd shared the burden, like it wasn't mine just to carry and drag. And also it was a huge shift because I felt like I had spoken my truth and let people know how I was really feeling. And in doing that, it was such a gift because they actually were also able to support me and offer their support. And a couple of the people in the group said, I'm so like, this is so good for me that you've shared this. Like, thank you for telling us that, like being so truthful and authentic, because you're not alone in what you're going through. So the gift in this for me and the learning experience in this for me was, one, it's safe to be myself, right? It's safe to reach out to friends that I trust and let them know what's really happening for me and that they accept me for who I am. And it was a beautiful lesson for myself too, to realize that I don't have to judge myself for not feeling like in this extreme, competent, capable mode all the time. And that it's okay to just be who I am. And so I feel like another little layer of self-judgment melted away this week. And the other gift in this was in sharing what I was going through with these friends, it also brought us all closer together in such a beautiful way. And so there was a gift in that as well. And concurrently, while all this was going on, my daughter actually got really sick, but not like the regular cold, but that kind of sick when your kids are really needy and they need you and they need lots of mum hugs. And so on Friday afternoon, when I was planning to record an episode for you, I just made a decision in that moment, you know what? In the grand scheme of life, if I look back from my deathbed, I'm going to be happy that on this Friday afternoon, I prioritized my daughter and just being there for my daughter. And that was a huge shift for me because the achieving side of me, the perfectionist, hardworking side of me, would normally not have done that. I would have just pushed through. And I would have been there for my daughter, but I then would have gotten up early or recorded the podcast in a situation that wasn't ideal, given up time with the family over the weekend or done something like that to get it out. But the trouble with that is that I would have been doing it against myself. Now, I'm not trying to justify getting the podcast out late. I'm just trying to explain my reasoning that the motivation in the past for me to get something out has been from not a place that I'm aligned with anymore. Because I'm no longer available for pushing myself outside of my own well-being comfort zone. Not like comfort zone as in I'm doing something that feels a little bit, ooh, this is new, but pushing myself out of a comfort zone where it's actually against my own health and well-being. There was a long time in my life where I've done that, and I'm wondering, do you relate to this? Do you do this where you push yourself so hard because of your own judgments against yourself, and then also the judgments of others, right? Like, oh, if I don't get the podcast out on Tuesday, people will think I'm a flake, or that I'm not competent, or I can't, do something consistently, instead of actually just really being on my own side and acknowledging that, wow, we have had a really tough emotional week. I've been going through stuff myself, and then on top of that, my daughter's unwell and I really want to be there for her. And what is the most loving thing that I can do right now? The most loving, self-accepting, non-self-judgmental thing I can do is actually just let go and surrender intentionally and be okay with not producing something, not achieving something, and just being present. And so that's what I did. I was present with my family all weekend. My daughter was in bed most of the long weekend, which was really just shocking as well, and unusual, to be in that situation where I've just really had to take care of her. And here I am Tuesday morning, ready for work and in a place where I totally can produce the podcast, and it's happening so easily. I can do it. I can edit it today and I'll probably get it out to you by tomorrow. So it might be one day late. And I really just thought I wouldn't get a podcast out this week, and I let it go. And isn't that ironic that in the letting go, I'm now able to do it? So I think that self-judgment and perfectionism and our expectations of ourselves to produce and achieve can sometimes be coming not from a place of excellence, not from a place of wanting to really do well, but from a place of actually feeling insufficient if we don't do that. And the beautiful thing that has come out of this podcast coming out late is I feel very sufficient, and it's a really different feeling. So I wanted to share that with you, and I hope that this lands for you and gives you some beautiful insights on how you might apply this to your life. And I want to wrap up with a beautiful poem that my client shared with me this morning. And if you're listening, you know who you are. Thank you so much for sharing this poem with me. It really resonated with her, with what she's going through. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I think this is relevant for so many people. And it certainly is for me with the last week that I have had. So this poem I'm reading it from the exploredeeply.com website, and it is by Reverend Sapphire Rose. And Reverend Sapphire Rose's website is www.sapphire-rose.com. And this is a poem that she wrote, and it's called She Let Go. So here goes. She let go. Without a thought or a word, she let go. She let go of fear. She let go of the judgments. She let go of the confluence of opinions swarming around her head. She let go of the committee of indecision within her. She let go of all the right reasons. Wholly and completely, without hesitation or worry, she just let go. She didn't ask anyone for advice. She didn't read a book on how to let go. She didn't search the scriptures. She just let go. She let go of all the memories that held her back. She let go of all the anxiety that kept her from moving forward. She let go of all the planning and all the calculations about how to do it just right. She didn't promise to let go. She didn't journal about it. She didn't write the projected date in her day timer. She made no public announcement and put no ad in the paper. She didn't check the weather report or read her daily horoscope. She just let go. She didn't analyze whether she should let go. She didn't call her friends to discuss the matter. She didn't do a 5-step spiritual mind treatment. She didn't call the prayer line. She didn't utter one word. She just let go. No one was around when it happened. There was no applause or congratulations. No one thanked her or praised her. No one noticed a thing. Like a leaf falling from a tree, she just let go. There was no effort. There was no struggle. It wasn't good and it wasn't bad. It was what it was, and it is just that. In the space of letting go, she let it all be. A small smile came over her face. A light breeze blew through her, and the sun and the moon shone forevermore. And that poem is by Reverend Sophia Rose. She let go. Oh my gosh. So I hope that resonates with you this week. I just felt like I needed to share what was happening, and I also needed to be real with you that, you know what? I am a really competent, capable woman, and also sometimes I need support, and sometimes things aren't okay, and sometimes I can't get a podcast out on time, and that's okay. And I hope that whatever is happening for you, that you can allow yourself to just be okay with where you are as well. Let go of self-judgment and accept who you are and what is happening right now. All right, until I get in your ears again next week. Love ya. Have an amazing week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Money Mindful podcast. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe. Ready to take the next steps? Creating your money and life goals can be super challenging if you don't have a process to follow. Get my free course that will help you get unstuck, clarify your goals, and get you going. For more info, go to meaghanjsmith.au.